All right, it looks like we are live. Hey, this is Emily Leach. I'm the founder of the Freelance Conference. I am here with Katrina Cobb. We here in Austin are sitting here looking out the window at rain, and I see sunshine on your face. So a little jealous.
Sorry about that. I just happened to have the good fortune to get stranded in Mexico City, and so I'm working from a terrace today where there's good Wi-Fi, but I'm away from any other humans. So that's the plan.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for making some time to jump on a quick live with us. Yesterday, you and I were chatting, and we got on this tangent, which turned out to be a really awesome tangent about what can people be doing right now? What's going to come out of this? Because every time we've had, you can look at the Great Depression, you can look at all of the different dips, really big ones and even minor ones over history, and there's always things that come out of it. There's devastation, of course, but there's also opportunities. Right. So how do we begin to open our mind and look a little bit differently and position ourselves for that? I like the word pivot. Position's probably an even better word.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a little bit. So
okay, perfect.
The question that, and you said it perfectly. The question was, I'm in X industry right now. What do I do?
Yeah. And I think this is where everybody starts, right? Because if you're in a position where your typical clients have just dried up, projects got put on pause or canceled because everybody's kind of reacting right now, this is, I think, where people start. And it's an okay place to start, but I actually want to share a different framework to ask a better question today and go from solving the problem of what do I do to finding the problem of what needs to be done that my skills can fill. Because I think that's gonna help us get into a better frame of mind. Because here's the beautiful truth is that all businesses are created because there's a need that needs to be filled. And so you get to fill that gap for people. And when a new challenges arise, it just means new opportunities arise because now there's new problems to solve across the board. Everybody in the world is facing a new situation, a new challenge, a new problem, which means there's opportunities regardless of your skill set, your background. Global, absolutely, especially with technology and everybody working remotely by default. Now your market got even bigger if you want to look at it that way, which I think is a helpful place to start. So that's my first thing. And the reason I want to start with that question is because I think we tend to see what we are looking for. I mean, it's cognitive bias, right? It's like, oh my God, I'm a writer. I don't have this project. Where do I find another project of exactly the same parameters that may not necessarily be what's out there right now? Right. So finding something different to look for is kind of what I want to help people pivot to today, because that's where you're going to find your path forward. So my framework for thinking through this actually stems from a training I do on how to hone your message and figure out how to describe the problems you solve, but flipping that in reverse. So some shortcuts to that may help for some idea setters, and we can run through examples if that's helpful. Is generally speaking, if you serve businesses, if you're in business to business, if most of your clients are in the business world, the problems they have are going to be related to either time or money. Either save me time or save me money or make me more money. And when you can connect those dots and figure out what are their current challenges around that, that's an opportunity, right? So business examples, what are people struggling with right now? Business owners are working from home. They have tech challenges. They have staff communication challenges. They have maybe had to lay some workforce off because of cash flow problems. They have like communication internally, but also replacing those systems and processes, right? So maybe it's automation, delegation, maybe VAs have a new opportunity, right? They also probably have time constraints if now they are parents and they're juggling or running a business with full-time parenting, with full-time education of their kid, right? So
with the other person, the other spouse, possibly in the
house.
Totally,
in relationship, like so many overlapping things. And so there's so many new problems. Whether it's, again, helping people make money in this time, how do you help them pivot their message? How do you create new marketing strategies? How do you transition services to online? Like, these are the sorts of questions to ask. Or the time piece, like, how do you help them have more time with their family or need less time on a daily basis so they can juggle all the things they're juggling, right? So that's the big framework. And then I think if you're a designer, cool, think about where does that fit into that spectrum of questioning, right? Do they need any marketing collateral? Do they need a brand update? Do they need, small businesses need coupons or gift certificates or like ways to promote, ways to keep the revenue flowing in this time, right? So there's ideas on the visual side, similar with copy. Oh my goodness. I talked to a copywriter yesterday who's already had increased requests for help because they need communication policies written for coronavirus, like
That's
remote
true.
work policies
Yeah.
written, internal communications to clients, to investors, to shareholders, to vendors. Like communications, if you're in any type of that as a freelancer, you have a huge opportunity right now if you can see it that way. Tech and development, with everybody shifting to online, people are developing new platforms, new tech, new tools, new applications. There's
Fast. I mean, people are
yeah,
adding functionality to stuff. It's amazing how many
totally.
emails and how many announcements I see in a day. So
Yes.
one of the things going down this road that you're talking about, I love tech stuff, is if you're in that space where you either enjoy tech or maybe you provide that opportunities for your clients or potential
Mm-hmm.
clients, keep an eye out right now for what people are doing and changing and the discounts that they're offering. And if you have a client that's using a specific platform and you found that they're offering a discount, go reach out, take the opportunity to say, hey, I'm staying on top of this for you. And
Yeah.
I'm finding either another option or a way to lessen your burden right now, your financial burden right now. And my thought is be as helpful as you can
100%.
because like you said, time bandwidth is probably my more favorite term. Bandwidth is
Yeah.
at an all-time tightness right now. And so if you can find ways to ease that pain and that burden, I think you have a really good spot to fit in. And I use technology because I can relate to it. But
Yeah.
yeah. So what are some other areas that you can think of off the top of your head that people really need to start thinking a little differently, tweak the way that we're looking at our own businesses
Mm-hmm.
and offerings?
So again, we'll stay with business clients for a second, and then I'll shift to the individual clients because it's a whole other set of problems, which I think is also really useful. With speaking with people in financial services, like you better believe financial advice, better accounting, new forecasting, like streamlining tools for making better decisions right now is a huge need of how to navigate these sort of things. Even business coaches and consultants, I've had a lot of folks be like, well, I want to help, but I also need to keep my business going.
Yeah.
Now is also a beautiful time to focus on the business. If you aren't directly impacted on the revenue, you've got the extra space or the time or like the awareness now that there are gaps you can close, blind spots you can kind of tighten up, and things that will also make your life easier moving forward and moving a bit stronger. I think there's examples of innovation happening everywhere, and I think that's the cool thing about being in business for yourself, about being in kind of entrepreneurship, freelancing, is you have the power and the option to pivot, to make a new decision, to see a new opportunity, go chase it down, to create a new solution. It's a pretty beautiful thing. If we can get over the panic and shift to being proactive, I think that's the hard part right now. And it's super normal to like have moments of reaction. And my hope is this conversation can start to like help people swing in the other direction of like, cool, what can I do? Where am I needed? Is a beautiful way to frame that question. So
yeah, because you're right. There's a lot of people that are in panic, maybe float in and out of panic, are really going to pull back because they don't know how long this is going to last.
Yep.
And well, we all don't know how long it's going to last. I personally think that it's probably relatively short term until we begin to start the real recovery process.
Yeah.
And then that's going to be slow. But to actually get to start it, I think we're probably not too far out. So I love I made this statement just the other day on some of my social media statements. So I love channel. So I love the idea of if you have the financial bandwidth right now, if you can take a step back and just kind of evaluate some of your own processes, evaluate how you're doing business, and just look back at maybe conversations that you've had when you've been networking, when you've been working with a client. Did you notice any moments where, oh, I really wish I had this form. Oh, I really wish I knew how I wanted to do that process. I really wish I knew where I was going to store my contacts and how to get in contact, find them when I need them. Now might be a really great time to designate some space to go and fill those, to create those, and then begin to get comfortable with them. It can make a huge difference down the road.
Yeah, and you can do it yourself, but you can also, if you are comfortable, like pay it forward. Hire somebody that's a specialist to come in and build your back end system, to build your marketing funnel, to do some BA work and like take some time and administrative like stuff off your hands. Like we can serve in that way as well. So if you are in a strong, secure position for the next while and you feel pretty good about your projections because you're just not as effective because of what you do, beautiful. I'm super happy you're successful because then you can help others.
Yeah.
That's the reason that we all want to keep selling and keep working, is so that we can get to a place where we can do that. I think that's probably the best thing we could do for each other at this time.
It is a great time to do that because bringing on a team member, like you said, a VA or a web designer or maybe all of them, it takes time and it takes a lot of you to do it. So if you can set that time aside now, it really is a great time to take that on so that when things start moving again, your team is in place. All right, so let's talk about individual businesses. What do you got?
Perfect. So people that serve individuals and consumers, like my framework for those guys to think through of what are they looking for is usually they want to feel different about things. They want a new experience or they want to shift their identity. And so what can that look like? You're being cooped up at home with family members and having lots of extra quality time. Relationship counseling and coaching, like how to set healthy boundaries, how to time manage, how to prioritize different things, right? If you've got a skill set and those kind of personal things, huge opportunity to speak to that. Kids that all of a sudden need a lot more stimulus and ideas and activities and entertainment at home. Like, can you teach them a cool skill? I don't know if coding for kindergartners is a thing, but that would be pretty fun. Maybe there's like people that want to learn a talent, art, music, something technical, something creative, how to write XYZ, how to take the perfect selfie, how to edit your photos with a certain application. Right now, people have so much time when they're stuck at home. If they're not in a business scenario, or even if they are, sometimes they want a distraction from that. So teach something, support with something. Other examples, I saw a note that Blue Apron is like all of a sudden skyrocketed and they were almost in bankruptcy because food delivery is a new really big need. So delivery services, connecting people to what services are available. Again, building a technology piece or an app or a database is a huge thing for like people figuring out what the resources are right now or how to connect to local businesses and buy from them and keep the economy cranking, right? So I think, again, in communication, there's opportunities, and like life coaching and personal development and education, there's tons of opportunities. I think in time management, productivity, efficiency, like running a household, like how to make things fun, there's tons of opportunities. And then in just building better resources, connecting people to what they need in this time, good information, like filtering out fake news and creating a better resource for that. I mean, really the sky is unlimited for what the needs are for people right now. And I think we can use our beautiful gift as empathizers, as humans, to step into the shoes of somebody in a situation that may be different from yours, right? I'm solo hanging out on a terrace in Mexico City, so I don't have, obviously, the family constraint needs of being cooped up in a small space, but I can imagine pretty well, and I've also talked to people that are in that situation, so I can glean like what their current challenges are and what their current problems are and kind of anticipate like, ooh, maybe that's a need, right? So I've seen a bunch of stuff being shared, and
listening sounds like a really good tool right now.
Yeah. Listening is a huge tool, and asking, like, don't be hesitant to just ask, like, what are you struggling with right now? What are your frustrations? What are your time constraints? What are you worried about financially? Like, what do you need most to keep your business afloat? What do you need most to keep your family sane? Like, listening and asking, humongous skills right now to have those light bulb moments. Like, oh, like I can totally help with that. Like, or this thing that I did over here actually fits really well right here. Because I think where people panic is they think they have to throw the baby out with the bathwater and scrap everything they used to do. And I actually think we've got these innate skills and gifts and processes and systems and thought patterns already. It just needs a tweak, right? It just needs a shift and an awareness of like how it fits a new need or how it can be adapted to fit a new need.
So what would you say to anyone or the people in the world that just, not everyone can just kind of think outside the box, for lack of a better term, and see those opportunities. But when they're presented to them, they're like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. I can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Suggestion.
I think just conversations. I mean, tuning into one of these things is perfect because we're generating all sorts of ideas. I've been sharing a bunch of posts with ideas, reaching out to people that are the thinkers and the idea people. I think just more conversations is a good question, is a place to start. Because if you can't see the answers, just ask better questions. And I think hopefully this is giving you the idea of what types of questions to ask and who to ask them to, and kind of framing that a little differently. I mean, any business starts with market research, right? Like in theory, whether you did it formally or informally when you got your freelance business started, right? It's figuring out the nature of the needs, the degree of the needs, the widespread like market size of the needs, and like the intensity and urgency of the needs, right? So these are the type of questions to bring to this new situation. You may have, soft spots or passions or things that you think might adapt, but you don't have real clarity, like go ask somebody. Like if you find me and ask me, like I'm super happy to offer perspectives and ideas if you guys don't have anybody else to go talk to. Like Emily too, I'm sure. Jump into the freelance group. Like there's resources out there. I think the place I hope people shift to is being really resourceful, just like not being afraid to go ask. Because everybody wants to help right now. If I've seen anything and following the media that's encouraging is so many messages of help and support. And like, if you need something, I'm here. If you need something, I'm here. So don't be shy. I mean, this is where cool innovation happens. I was reading a story about a 3D printer in Italy who was able to reproduce a ventilator part when a hospital like had a dire need in a couple hours versus waiting for the manufacturer hours and hours away, right? A liquor distillery is transitioning from making vodka to making hand sanitizer. Like there's opportunities to pivot. And these stories are everywhere and they're going to continue to be everywhere. And that's why I think this is just a time to ask different questions. Like, cool, what skills do I have? What assets do I have? And that can be technology, that can be physical products, that can be your years of experience, your perspective, your expertise, your knowledge base.
Yeah, your ability to find an answer that some people can't find.
Yes.
You know, So I just have one question with the distillery. Do you get one bottle of vodka with every bottle of?
Wouldn't that be a deal? Yeah, I don't know. That was up in New York. I just read the beautiful article about it, but it's starting to get shared around. So I'm sure you could go read more on
really
that.
Good one.
There's beautiful stories about this stuff happening, and yeah, I think it's really an interesting time. So.
Well, if any of you guys have questions while we're on here, feel free to shoot them out there. And as they come through, I'll bring them up as well. Because I think this is a really interesting conversation. And I love, again, thank you so much for taking some time to come out here and have this. Because I can be that person. People tell me that I'm extremely creative, and I believe them that I am. But sometimes when it comes to really seeing an opportunity, I'm that person.
You're here. Forest for trees, right?
Like it's right here. And somebody says, oh, but it's right here. And they explain it. It's like, oh my goodness, I could completely see that. Yes, I can do that. But I didn't think I could. So maybe you may feel yourself right now being in a really tough industry and you just can't see any way around this, any way that you can pull yourself back together and make it through this. Not to be dire, but I think there are some people that may be feeling this
totally
this way. So Deborah, I don't know if you know Deborah Jason. She says, hi, Katrina, just jumping on for a brief moment. So thank you so much for coming out and letting us know that you're out there. You know, I see that there's quite a few people on the stream, so that's really awesome. But yeah, if you have a specific area, I'd love to be able to jump into that while we're on the stream. Otherwise, Katrina's in the freecon.community. I'm in the freecon.community. A whole bunch of other people are in there. We just launched it here a couple of months ago and haven't really even made it public. But now that there's such a huge need for specifically individual business owners, freelancers to really have a place to just feel like you're safe and you can talk to one another. You know, especially when we're kind of all trapped in our houses, then it's freecon.community and join that. We'd be more than happy. Ask your questions there if you're seeing this later. But in the meantime, while we are still on here, what do you see? How do you see it in Mexico City versus what you're hearing about in the States? Is it the same? Is it as bad? Is it better?
I will say we're a couple weeks behind the U.S. in terms of awareness of media saturation, and also in terms of policy moves and those sorts of things. So they're starting to take measures. I've noticed less people around. Individual businesses are reacting, and that's been encouraging to see that some are taking it fairly seriously. A lot of folks that I see in the expat and nomad community are already self-quarantining and isolating and practicing social distancing. Some businesses are posting updates, and coffee shops are now using disposable cups and not washing their glasses because they don't want to transmit it because they've learned about how the virus behaves. But we'll be in a similar situation in the US here in a couple of weeks. It's getting there. I think testing has been also very hard to come by here, so the numbers still look very low, but we've seen from every other country that's not the case. So I'm anticipating hanging out unexpectedly here for a few months as travel shuts down and people just hunker down and adapt. It wasn't the plan, but you know what? We are adaptable, beautiful beings. We can make it work. So
yeah. So Amanda Gracio, which is
Mhm.
actually the person that connected the two of us together, she's
Yep.
asking any advice on how to present these new ideas or services without seeming like you're taking advantage of the unfortunate situation, or is this just me getting in my own way?
Beautiful question. A question
It
everybody
is
and
a
their
great
brother is
one.
asking right now.
I
Like,
know
can
it's
I still charge?
well, it's hard to stand
Yeah.
up and say, "Hey, there's
Yeah.
opportunity in this," without
Yeah.
seeming like you don't care.
Taking advantage, right? Being an opportunist. And
Yeah,
there's a fine line between like, I am here to serve and solve a new problem and fill a new gap. And I'm going to escalate with a lot of fear and language and scarcity mindset in my message to like try to arm twist people into needing me right now. I
right.
think that's the difference, is where you're coming from. So from my perspective, when it comes to sales, sales is solving a problem. Sales is finding a need and filling it, and just communicating authentically that, hey, I have seen other people are struggling with this. I have seen that this might be an issue in your industry or with your business. Like, is that true? If so, I would love to support you with that. Like, here's my thoughts, here's my ideas. What do you think? Would that be of help? And I think that's a very different conversation, right? Because
Yeah,
think about
it's
it.
more about collaboration,
Totally.
even.
Totally. And we're in service, right? We are in service. This is a service-based business community. So like, we're here to serve, and we don't need to feel guilty about getting compensated for that. We just need to be creative in how we, and I think more empathetic, maybe that's a better word than creative, empathetic in how we are messaging this moving forward. I think if we go back to the example of like, I put myself in your shoes, I can imagine how this business owner is feeling. They're probably feeling this. They're probably worried about that. They're probably stressed about that. They're probably anxious about this. They don't know how they're going to handle this. And then they get an inbox from you or a voice message or a video message saying, hey, I noticed these things. I think you might be feeling this. Is that the case? And they're like, oh my God, yes, you're at my mind. Totally different conversation. All right. Now, if you're in a position, again, if you're stable and you can give back and offer free things like this conversation, like for me, ideas are free. Like, I'm happy to just check these out because
right. At least somebody can take them. Here's ideas.
Please take it and run with it. Take it and run with it. 100%. But I'm also still offering paid services to clients. Again, the ones that I like to serve are the ones that are in a stable position and are working on the internal pieces of the business, like we talked about earlier. Like, that's actually what I do normally. There's just a different reason for it now, because now they have the time. Now they're thinking about what's the longevity and stability of my business look like if this stays this way, right? So there's just new parameters to the question. The needs are similar, right? So I think that's a beautiful question, though. And addressing the free versus paid, empathetic and compassionate, totally, Deborah. Free versus paid, right? So we've seen people posting free schedules for kids, free examples for this, free media for education, free software, free all these things. Beautiful, wonderful. So the question you might ask is, well, how do I do it for pay if everything's out there for free? And I think a helpful analogy is think about fitness. And I know that industry is reeling right now too.
Yeah.
But gyms and personal trainers and that industry has existed for a while and done very, very, very well. But you could Google a workout plan. You could Google and YouTube a workout video, right? It's not the knowledge always that people are looking for. What they're looking for and what they need support with one-on-one, especially more than ever, in my opinion, is how to customize that to their situation, how to hold them accountable to actually like doing this thing and doing it consistently and checking in on them, how to support them, how to help implement it, like how to fill the gap that like their human nature or their current situation is having a hard time closing. It's not just knowledge, it's the support piece. And I think, again, in service, you have an opportunity to innovate the way you serve, right? Are you building in check-ins, follow-ups, like other tools on top of your normal gifts? Interesting, right? How are you going above and beyond to really understand their full need at this time and solve that issue?
And the first thing I thought of when you said, paid versus free is, there's a lot of people that are offering, pro bono services right now. And that's wonderful because there's a lot of people that there's no other way that they're going to recover without that 100%. Support. But there's a lot of people that need those services. They don't need them to be free. They don't want to wait in that line potentially, and they're willing to pay for them. So, 100%. If that's the line that you need to toe because you have bills and all that other stuff, then do it and don't feel guilty about it. You're right. That is a huge mindset that I see with freelancers is, but I love doing what I do, so I should just be able to do it. And I was like going, but you can. And then I feel really bad about putting a dollar amount on it. And I've been, I've done the same thing. So I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes I still do. It's like, I just want everybody to be able to have it. And
totally. And that's a beautiful altruistic thing. But again, your financial success means you can also pay it forward to somebody else in need and outsource that thing. Buy that takeout from that restaurant that's really struggling right now, right? Pay an extra tip to that delivery guy. Yep. Like, your success and taking care of that first right now means you're helping others. You can help more people the more successful you are. And that's just a good space to try to remember to get into, because we all feel this way. Like, I was posting a bunch of free ideas and free stuff all over the place. I'm doing free calls, like just helping people get through this, but I also still need to take care of the paid side, because I might be stuck here a while and I'm going to have to pay those bills and order that delivery. So, you know what?
Margaritas aren't free. I mean, believe it or not, they're not free, even in Mexico.
Still got to pay for tacos. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man, that's a really good one. And that's a big mindset shift. That's hard to say for all of us, probably. And especially when we see people hurting, a lot of us just want to help.
And again, that's a beautiful place to come from. And, you know, there are going to be cases where you can do stuff for free. That's fine. Yeah. But I also want to give you full permission that the economy can keep moving in this weird stretch, like this time of uncertainty. You still can earn money. People are still buying. Other people do want to pay it forward. Again, not everybody is feeling like super upheaval. Other businesses are thriving because the needs have shifted, like that Blue Apron issue, or my copywriter friends, or.
And here's another big thing to remember, that just because people have been sent home doesn't mean that they're not getting paid. Some are. I mean, I get that means it for some people, but a lot of companies, you know, they just sent people home because they either were mandated to. I live in Austin, so that happened to the city of Austin. But everybody's still getting paid. They're still spending their money. They're still buying their groceries. They're still doing the things that were our businesses, at least some of our businesses, relied on. And some of those guys now have a little bit more time than they had before. And they may be, I don't know, writing a book now. They may be taking advantage of some of this free time. You said something in the very beginning of the call where, you know, we now have a lot of parents home with kids. That spring break was great, but that was last week. And this week is a new week. And oh my goodness, it was not a new week. Yeah. And they're not equipped, or, you know, their personality isn't. I need to teach my kids. I was actually talking to someone this morning in the group, in the Free.community group, about, you know, she's at home, she's got her kids and she's homeschooling and trying to keep a business running. She's like, this isn't what I do. So if that's a gift or a skill for you, where you could do that through a streaming, you know, you could really help out a lot of parents. And 100%. I'm sure that they would be more than willing to, you know, all pitch in some, and you get paid for your time, and they actually get their time back, because now they can work and their kids are doing, you know, there's a lot of that stuff. That's a huge opportunity right now, especially through the next 45 days or 2 months.
For sure. We're going to be here for a minute. I think that's a beautiful point. There's so many opportunities there. And I was going to say something else, but I've lost my train of thought, but I'll come back to it in a second. That's okay.
I've had that happen a couple of times.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's fine. Let me.
That's the blank stare that every once in a while.
I should have taken notes. Anyway.
Maybe if I look in the air, I can find it somewhere. Nope, it's not there either.
I got it.
Good.
I got it. All right. Also was in conversations with some other folks, and travel is one of the industries that's been vastly affected, right? So people that had budgeted for events, budgeted for travel, budgeted for these sorts of things, they have that money to spend and reallocate towards what's needed now. So I want to continue on Emily's example of, like, there is money to be spent out there.
Yeah.
There is opportunities out there. There are people that are still buying, people looking for new solutions, people super happy if you can help them manage some of the struggles they're experiencing right now. Happy to pay, and happy to pay a full rate, because they know they're also supporting a small business, right? There's huge, like, ground swelling support for small businesses and keeping that engine going, because that's a massive percentage of our economy, at least in the US, but I think around the world, right? Small business is massive in terms of percentages of the GDP. People are aware of it. They want to help. You just have to see the opportunity, put the offer out, and let people know that, hey, I can fix this new painful problem you didn't think you were going to have 2 weeks ago. Like, I got something.
A lot of the restaurants, at least here in Austin, I've been watching the news, and a lot of the restaurants, even though they've been, you know, they've had to close, they've kept their kitchens open, and they're working with Uber Eats and some of the delivery. You know, you talked about the delivery companies, so I see that there's going to be a huge influx of people that will do deliveries. And so that way they can at least keep the kitchen side open and keep some trickle of income coming through. So order from those guys, you know, maybe you can't go out and eat right now, but you can still get that really awesome food that I don't know about you, but I usually can't make it home.
Yeah, I do. There's delivery door-to-door services here, and I've been delivering my groceries, getting my meals when I don't want to cook delivered, like delivering everything because there's a beautiful infrastructure for that, and I can keep at least that piece going to safer, and it's healthier for the economy. Happy to support it. That makes a ton of sense. And even in other services, right? There's new services supporting seniors that are isolated. There's new services like retail is now going to like online shopping, virtual trunk shows, like creative ways to display their wares and like ship or like put on hold until you can pick it up later. But do all your Christmas shopping now with little boutiques that could use it. Like there's so many ways that if you're in a good space, like use your success to help others. Like be successful, take care of yourself, and then use that to pay it forward. Like if there's nothing else, I think those two kind of overarching perspectives are going to help everybody right now, which is a great thing.
Yeah, I just had one of those moments and I just lost it.
I gotta stop when I see your face light up.
I know. I was like, oops. No,
Christmas shopping. That was the thing. Yeah.
It was before the Christmas shopping, because as soon as you said the Christmas shopping, it left, because it's like, hey, that's a really great idea.
All right. Yeah, virtual events. Actually, you can maybe speak to the virtual event side of things. Probably
I can.
Because of what you're doing.
Yeah, and I actually was speaking with off and on through email with the woman that helped me find my event space, and she was, telling me how, one, hotels aren't moving events unless you're outside of the month of May, kind of, and that makes sense because the conference is going to come up in the end of August, and I'm not going to change that date or anything until I know something, probably early June, middle June kind of time frame. We'll have a better picture of that, but like I'm doing a virtual summit later this month. And I have a colleague of mine that does a program called Small Business Festival during National Small Business Week. And they have it in 4 or 5 cities across the country. And all of those cities have now mandated nobody over 10 people, no gatherings of people over 10. Right. So we're taking that entire platform to online as a virtual summit. And since I have experience in it, I said, okay, I'll help you, and it's not what I normally do, but it's an opportunity. It's kind of like what we're talking about here. And so it's a lateral skill. I know how to do the organization. I have the team in place. So we're just kind of pushing over and helping them put that together. And a lot of, look at Adobe. They did their entire conference that they had to close down. They did it live. And I know there's a couple of others. There's concerts now that are starting to live stream it. And I didn't watch all of it. I was walking through the living room last night. And I guess New York is starting to live stream some of their, And I thought, it's ways to keep people engaged and interested in that kind of thing. The arts, and do, like you said, we're trapped in our houses to some degree. I take the dog for a walk, so I'm not trapped. Right. But those of you guys who are up north, it's cold. So you may feel a little bit more trapped than we do down south, but yeah, open your eyes. Think outside the box. And if you're not an outside the box thinker, I strongly recommend that you come and join us at the freecon.community. Again, it's free. Love to have you drop in there, ask the question. Just say, hey, this is what I do. I got nothing. And, you can be more eloquent if you want. You can be less eloquent if you want. Yeah. It's a kind of a free for all in there. You can't sell in there, but, and let us help you out, because I think we're all going to learn a whole lot about this. And, I know what the thought was a while ago.
Okay.
I don't know where it comes from, but anyway, I popped back in. So this comes from the conversation earlier in this conversation, but think about the conversations that you've had with your clients and any ideas that they've had that they wanted to create. And the one that comes to mind for me, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, is, man, I wish I could always write a book.
Yep.
Right now might be a really great time for, if you're that person and can help them through it, to bring it up and just say, hey, you have some bandwidth right now. What do you think? We take on this project since you have it. And
start a podcast, start a YouTube channel, start a something.
Yep. Start a something.
Yeah. All sorts of things. Yeah. And then hire somebody to help you with it. Right.
There you go. Yes.
Let's do that.
Well, do you have anything else you want to add to this? I think we've covered a lot, and it's been really great.
That's at least the bullet point outlines of like talking points I wanted to make sure I shared is, again, think through, just put yourself in their shoes and like imagine the new situation, either the business is in, the individual is in, families at home, whoever you want to serve. And like, how could they use more help saving time? How could they use more help earning more money? How could they use more help changing their day-to-day experience or the way they feel about it, or again, starting something new of their own? Like if you're in business or business planning or even coaching like, that's a beautiful conversation to have with people right now, is how do I start something for the next time? Or if my work is unstable, like, I can get something new going, right? There's
how can they pivot? How can you help somebody else pivot? Because you can see it and they can't, and you have the skill.
Yeah. And I did this with all of my clients. Like, first look at your current clients and see, do they have any new needs or different needs? Like, what has changed for the people you're already taking care of? And like, double down there. And if you can see that, yeah, this is a real thing shifting in this industry, then take that same message to others. And that's how you can start to, like, again, make those little pivots. That'll be much easier to communicate, like we talked about with Amanda, easier to, like, frame from an empathetic situation. Like, I can see you might be experiencing this. Do you want some support with that?
Yeah. Or even just lay it out. You know, and you can even say, hey, I know that the money might be tight right now, and this is how we can make this help get you to the other side. And, you know, just lay the whole thing out. Because sometimes that can really help people be able to see it. If it's too nebulous and elusive, they may not be able to get there. So
yeah, you still need clarity on the problem you're solving and, like, the specifics of how you're going to solve that.
And why they should
it matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you've got flexibility, again, offer payment plans, offer, like, other creative options, but just keep earning and find creative ways to keep earning so you can then.
Yeah, because you are an important part of the economy.
Huge.
Yeah. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Again, if any of you guys have questions, you can put them here for the next little bit, or if you see one of our posts somewhere on one of the social media channels, ask a question or come join us in the FreeCon community. We'd love to have you. Again, thank you again.
Absolutely. Thanks, Emily, for coordinating a very much needed, I hope, helpful conversation for everybody.
Actually, thanks for doing it so quickly. I mean, we literally had this conversation, 2 or 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. It's like, oh, let's do it tomorrow.
No worries. Thoughts are fresh on the brain this week. So there you go.
Yes. All right. Well, have fun in Mexico for as long as you can until you guys get put into your houses. And we will see you when you get back to the States.
Sounds good. Thanks, Emily.
Okay. Bye.